Good morning, Rabbi.
We are learning Mishnayos Nazir, Perek Test, Chapter 9, Mishna Beis, Mishna 2. Okay. Nazir Shagilach, a Nazir that shaved. That means a Nazir who completed his Naziris. V'noidelo Hushu Tameh, and then he found it afterwards that he became Tameh during that Naziris. Got that? He completed his Naziris, and then afterwards found out that during the Naziris he became Tameh.
Problem.
Okay, so what do? Says the Mishnah, Imituma Yedua Saiser. If we're dealing with a known Tuma, it will cancel everything that he did and he'll have to do it over again. The Tuma Asatahaim, but if it's the Tuma of the deep, which means it's a source of Tuma that nobody knew about, Eina Saiser, it does not cancel what he did until now. Okay, so let me read to you here from the bottom how they explain. So you've got this Nazir, and he finished his Naziris.
Seemingly.
Excuse me.
Seemingly.
He finished. Well, yeah, and he later discovered that he became Tameh. So they say, for example, it was later discovered that a cave he entered while he was a Nazir, and then entering a cave, as we will see later on, can mean to be toivel in a mikveh, had contained a dead body, or a road he traveled on passed over a grave. These are the things that was made known to him afterwards. Okay, now we say that if it was tuma yedua, it was a known tuma. That means it was something that people could have known about or did know about. So, example, the corpse was either out in the open when it could be seen. That's the way it was. Or it was in a hidden area, but someone knew it was there. That's called Tuma Yedua. That's called known Tuma. Mm-hmm. If it's known Tuma, it's going to cancel what he did, and therefore he must first become tar. He's got to become tamar from the impurity of the dead body with the he has to be sprinkled with the paraduma water. Mm-hmm. Day 3 and day 7, go to the mikveh, shave, bring the offerings for Tuma, and then start in the Naziris over again. Okay? But if it was Tuma Hatahaim, which means it was not known, and the example that they give here is, which we'll see how the example of the Mishnah, but they give an example here right now. If let's say there was unknown to any a body that was unknown to anyone was trapped under a pile of rubble, and you passed over that rubble. Ein Saiser, it does not cause him to forfeit the days that he observed. Doesn't have to start over again. What's the basis for this halacha? It's halacha Moshe Sinai. It's a halacha from Moshe, a law that Moshe was given at Sinai. It has no derivation in the Torah, and that halacha Moshe Sinai says that although you cannot say he's not tamei, he became tamei. It's not like he didn't become tamei. And if he's still tamei, he's got to go ahead and purify himself. It has no effect on the Naziris that he observed until now. That's halacha Moshe Sinai. All right, now that's the rule. That's the starting rule. That if he found out after he cut his hair, meaning after he did everything that he was supposed to do for Naziris, he found out after that he became tamei. This is when we say the difference is what was a tuma? Was it known? Was it unknown? Im achlo gilach. But if we're talking about that he found out that he became tamei before he cut his hair, meaning he did not do everything yet. He may have even brought his karbanos, or even brought his sacrifices, but he found out about this becoming impure before he cut his hair. Benkach or benkach, whether we're talking about known tuma, unknown tuma, seiser, it will cancel everything that he did. So here's a qualification. It has to be that you found out about it after you cut your hair. But you found out about it before you cut your hair, then the halacha is that it doesn't make a difference what kind of tumah it was, you will have to start all over again. That's the halacha Mishna Sinai. That it only is going to apply if this distinction only comes out if you found out about it after you cut your hair, meaning after you did everything. But if it's before you cut your hair, then the halacha is it's going to undo all the Naziris. Now the Gemara Mishnah elaborates. Ketzad, how is this? Yarad litbal b'ma'ara. He went to be toivel in a cave. Now, why did he go down to be toivel in the cave? He went down to be toivel in the cave, let's say, because he became tamei from a sheretz, from a dead sheretz.
Oh, okay.
He wants to purify himself. So he went into the cave. V'nimtza meis saf al pi ha'ma'ara. And a corpse, or more practically a kazayas of a corpse, was found floating at the opening of the cave. Now, we're talking about here, he doesn't even know whether he came into contact with it or not. He's in doubt. Nonetheless, tamei, he is tamei. This is called tuma yadua. This is known tuma. Why? Because it's floating on the water. People can see it. People can notice it.
And he can't get out without.
Well, the point could be. The question is, at some point, it floats away. It moved away. The question is, he's coming out of the mikveh, and there's that, and there's that piece of mace there at the door, so at the opening. So he doesn't know. Did he touch it? Did he not touch it? If he touched it before he went to the mikveh, going to the mikveh didn't do anything. Got to have paraduma water sprinkled on him. All right. So he's a suffix. He's a doubt. Nonetheless, number one, he's going to be tamei because this is tuma yadua. This is tuma that could be known. It's floating on the water. People could see it. At the same time, this is also called but he's a suffix here. He's a doubt, and we're saying that he is tamei. We're assuming that he's tamei. We're assuming that he touched that piece. Why do we do that? The answer is because we apply another principle, suffix tuma b'reshus hayachid. We have a suffix about becoming tamei in a private domain, which here means where there aren't even three people around. I think three, yeah. There aren't even three people around. That's called a b'reshus hayachid, a private area for tuma. And if there's a doubt under those circumstances, we go l'chumra. We're stringent. We say you're tamei. So for all practical purposes, this guy is tamei. He became tamei. And being that he became tamei from tuma yadua, known tuma, because it was floating on the water, therefore, it cancels everything that he did. He's got to start all over again. He's got to purify himself, etc. Now, however, nimsa meshuka bekarka ma'ara. Let's say the body was found sunken in the floor of the cave, and nobody knew it was there. So as they explain here, apparently someone had drowned there, and his body had become trapped at the bottom of the cave, but nobody knew about it. And then somewhere or another they found out about it. But it was tumas, that's called tumas tahaim. It's called tumah of the deep. Now in this case, it's literally the deep. But the point is that the deep is an area that's unknown. And therefore, whenever we talk about tumah, the unknown tumah, like the example they gave before, was buried in the rubble, nobody knew about it. It's called tumas tahaim, the tumah of the depth. But it's an unknown tumah. So here, in this case, we're saying it was found at the bottom of the cave. That's called tumas tahaim, unknown tumah. And now, if the Nazir does not find out about this until after he shaved, right? That's where we say this whole thing is relevant. If you find out after he shaved, after he completed everything, here again, we have a qualification. Yarad lahaker tahar. Why did he go down into this mikveh? So let's say he went down to cool himself off. Okay, tahar. Then we say, if this was tumas tahaim, this was unknown tumah, and he found out about it after he shaved his head, then we say that he is tar. Doesn't mean it means tar in the sense that he is considered a nazir tar. Doesn't have to start all over again. But let's say he went down to the mikvah li taher mi tumas hames. He went down to the mikvah because he wanted to make himself pure from the impurity of a dead body. Then we say tamei. Then we say the fact that it's tumas tahaim doesn't help. So let's just put together the case here. The case here is that if you went to the mikvah for any other reason than making yourself tar from a dead body, you went down either to make yourself tar from a sheretz. You went down to make you went down not even to make yourself tar. You went down to cool off. At the end of the day, that is when we say that if it's unknown tumah and you found out about it after you shaved, the halacha is it doesn't cancel your naziris. But let's say the case is that when this guy went down to the mikveh, he was tamei from a dead body. He had gotten sprinkled day 3 and day 7 with the paraduma water, and now he went down to the mikveh to purify himself. Okay, that's what he did. And based on that, he then went and accepted Naziris. And not only that, he completed his Naziris. And he brought his karbanos, and he shaved his head. And then he finds out that, that time when he went to the mikveh, where he was trying to make himself pure from the tumah, from the impurity of a dead body. That time, there was a piece of mace floating around at the entrance of that mikveh, of that cave. Mm-hmm. And you became tamei then. You didn't realize it. You became tamei then. And then you went and you completed a whole Naziris, and now you found out about it. Okay? So there we say, now I have to back off. We're not talking about floating about. Then you find out about the body that was sunken at the bottom. It was tumas tahaim. Okay? If the situation was that you had become, that you were trying to purify yourself from the impurity of a dead body, and now you find out that you became impure from a dead body, even though it was tumas tahaim, there the halacha Mishna Mishnah does not apply. To say that, okay, it's tumas tahaim, it's unknown tuma, it has no effect on your naziris. Then it will. The only time tumas tahaim, the unknown tuma, is not going to have any effect on your naziris is in a case where you were pure, or at least not impure from a dead body, and then you accepted a naziris, and you found out about the impurity that you came into contact with, and it was unknown, and you found out about it after you shaved your head, after you finished everything about your naziris, doesn't affect your naziris. But if the situation of where this whole story took place, you came into contact with this tumas tahaim, it is all talking about under circumstances where you are already tamei from a dead body, and that's when this whole tumas tahaim story came about. Then we say that the fact that it is unknown tuma will still affect your being a Nazir. You have to start all over again. So let's just read it again. Yared lahaker tar. If he went down to cool himself off, he is tar. That's when the unknown tuma is not going to affect you. Litar me tumas mace. But if, let's say, the reason you went down to the mikvah was to make yourself tahar from the tomb of a dead body, that was your state. Your state was you were tamei from a dead body. And it was in that state that this whole situation took place with the contact of the tumas tahaim. If that's when it was, then tamei. Then we say you are tamei. You can't cancel your naziris. Shecheskas tamei. Because if it is assumed that someone who is already tamei remains tamei, the cheskas tar, and some of that is tar remains tar. Okay? Meaning, you were tar, you were not, meaning it was not about the tomb of a dead body, the tumas tahaim doesn't have an effect on you. If the situation was that you had been tamei from a dead body, right? You went to the mikveh to purify yourself from that, and then you have the suffix, then you have the situation with the tumas tahaim, then we say that it's going to be tamei sheraglaim l'davar. Raglaim l'davar translates as because the matter has legs to stand on. Now, what that means is that although we have a halacha Mishna Sinai, I shouldn't say although, we have a halacha Mishna Sinai. Halacha Mishna Sinai was very specific. The fact that halacha Mishna Sinai says that tumas tahaim does not cancel the naziris was talking about a specific case of where you were not tamei from a dead body before. That's so to speak. That's the fact of the halacha Mishna Sinai. At the same time, the Mishnah says there it's logical what the halacha Mishna Sinai is saying. The reason I'm going to read you how they say it over here. The reason that law about a tumah of the deep applies only to someone who is tar is because that is the way it was taught to Moshe at Sinai. That's halacha Mishna Sinai. That's how we have it. The Mishnah is only saying that it's logical to assume that this was the way the halacha was said. There's a certain logic to it that tumas tahaim is going to only not affect you if you were tar. But if you already were, if beforehand you were tamei from a dead body, then the tumas tahaim is not going to work. It's not going. It's still going to. We're saying the exemption doesn't apply there, and it will cancel in naziris. So let me read here in summary. When a Nazir becomes tamei from a tumah of the deep, he does not need to repeat his naziris. However, this applies only if two things are true. A, he does not find out that he had become tamei until after he had already finished his naziris by shaving. B, At the time he came in contact with an unknown corpse, he was not already tamei with corpse tuma. But if he was, then it will cancel his Naziris. Have a wonderful day and wonderful Shabbos.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Rabbi.
Rabbi.